Hello everybody, I'm Adam Bilsing and this is the Dirty Bandana Drum Project, where we do daily deep dives into every aspect of playing the drums. Today is a very special unboxing day. We're looking at the Remo silent stroke snare drum head. So let's check it out. Time to get the second snare drum. So I've decided, since I do brush practicing and actual drum practicing, that I need to have one drum set up for brushes and one drum set up with the silent stroke drum head. All of which means that I get to break out my second snare drum. It's been hanging out in the loft space here for a little bit, quite a while actually. So it's been up there so long that I don't even really remember what it is. All right, here we go. Oak Custom, that's what I thought. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is a 6.5 inch deep drum, 14 inch like normal. Yamaha Oak Custom. And all of a sudden, a bunch of memories about this drum are flooding back into my head. The biggest memory is that this drum is loud. It is real loud. So it feels like I loosened up the batter head for storage, but I left the snare head. It's a little loose too. Anyway, let's get down to it. I'm gonna swap out this one for my Black Beauty here that has been on the kit for a long time. So we're gonna take this off and we're gonna keep it nearby because I'm still gonna need it for brush practice and stuff like that. The case will go back in the loft, and here we are. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now, as you can probably see on the GoPro, this is a little higher up than the other one, so we'll do some camera adjusting here. Maybe just some snare stand adjusting, and I'll be back in just a second. We'll swap out the heads. Okay, so I've got my second snare drum here up on the kit at a level that feels pretty comfortable. So the next thing to do is get this normal drum head off of here. Looks like I'm pretty close to finger tight. We'll loosen the rest of the way. So I'm taking off a Control Sound X drum head. It's a Remo brand, something that looks like it's a brand new head. I don't think I've played it before, but I was using these Control Sounds a whole bunch back in the day because they're extra thick. I think it's basically an Emperor with a big power dot in the middle of it. So they're very durable, put up with a lot of pain. I used to use this snare drum for the punk band back in the day. So it put up with a lot, and that's probably why, if you look real close, there are blood splatters on this snare drum. Y'all who hit real hard know what I'm talking about. If you're swinging with a powerful left hand and you miss, your knuckles basically explode. But again, that's kind of the old days. You'll notice there's a theme to my journey that I'm on right now, and it's things are going pretty different. The traditional grip left hand is not nearly as loud as it was when it was matched grip, and I'm beating myself up a whole lot less. Beating up my drums a whole lot less too. Okay, so there we go. Oh, that's what the Control Sound looks like, in case you're wondering. Big power dot in the middle. So we're gonna set that down and break out the Remo silent stroke drum head. So I live in the middle of nowhere, which means everything comes by UPS. That's why I'm always taking all this extra wrapping off of everything that I show y'all. Got the 14-inch silent stroke. That's what the label looks like. Focus, focus. So again, I have one of these on the kick drum already, and they're just a mesh head. Looks like a screen door. You can see right through it. And they're a whole lot quieter than a normal drum head. So, like you heard me say on the kick drum video, I'm gonna line up the logos. It's an old habit that I sort of can't get rid of. And we'll go ahead and get the hoop back on here. Now, I'm not going to do a whole tuning video here, but I will talk a little bit about the basics for putting a drum head on. The first thing I'm going to do is get all of these tension rods seated in the lugs, get them started, make sure everything's in the right place and the rim is sort of rotated around where I want it to be. And then after that, we're going to get these all finger tight so we have a nice even starting point. Pretty excited about this because I've been working my way towards having sort of a real sounding drum set for a long time now. I was playing on a full practice pad kit, the DW Smart Practice Pad setup, which you can see in another one of my unboxing videos if you're curious about that. It was a really nice setup for a really long time. I think I was on just practice pads for over a year. And the last month or so I've been moving into this new setup. I got the Zildjian L80 low volume cymbals, which you can see in some of these shots here, and they have been super nice. I put the Remo silent stroke head on my kick drum about a week ago, and that has been really nice. It sounds a lot more like a kick drum than the practice pad did. And now I'm sort of completing the setup with the silent stroke head on the snare drum, which I think is going to make a really big difference to my overall kit sound. I had just been playing with the Real Feel practice pad on top of the other snare drum, and it was not matching the rest of the sounds of this practice kit really at all. So I'm pretty happy to complete this with the silent stroke head here. Okay, so I'm starting to get these finger tight. I just want to mention what I'm doing. As I go finger tight, I'm putting one hand on each sort of direct opposite side of the snare drum, like 180 degrees from each other. And I'm doing this so that when I'm finger tightening, we're going around in kind of an even pattern and trying to get a really even starting point so that once we start to tune all this up and tighten up the tension rods with the actual drum key, everything has a better chance of being even right from the get-go. Like I said before in some of my other videos, tuning is not necessarily my strong suit. I think a lot of us drummers have a hard time with it because we spend all our time dealing with rhythms, really, dealing with space, how, where notes fall, and we spend a lot less time thinking about pitch or tonality. It's just kind of like a weird side effect of our instrument. So tuning always takes some work, and I'm not claiming any expertise at this moment in my life. So I've got all these finger tight, pretty well matching. I think it's a pretty good starting point. Now this is a good moment to feel this is still really, really loose. Like if I was gonna play it, sounds kind of like nothing. So we're gonna start by tightening up in a whole turn. So 360 degrees, an entire circular turn with the drum key. I'm starting down here where I almost always start, low right hand side, and we're going to go around in a star pattern, kind of like you're changing a tire on your car. So that's a full circle. We're going to go straight across, full circle, move over one, straight across, and we're just going to repeat this all the way around the drum until we get back to the starting point. And then I'm going to kind of push down on this drum head to make sure that it's seated all around the bearing edge of the drum, like appropriately and well. Okay, so now we're back to the start. It's still pretty loose, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm going to do this whole thing again. Full turns all the way around. I'm really curious how this mesh drum head is gonna feel. I played one or two of them at the NAMM show, you know, for a minute or two. It was kind of hard to do on the show floor with all the noise and everybody running around. They feel a little different than a snare drum head, like a normal head, which is to be expected. I think I need to grease these tension rods. They're turning a little unevenly. Okay, so we're getting tighter now. You can maybe hear as I press down some of the glue letting loose. Hear that creaking sound? That's pretty normal. So you don't want to overdo it when you're pressing down on the drum head. You just want to get it seated around here so that it's you know, nice and centered on the drum where you want it to be. I still think I want this a little tighter. It's a little low for a snare drum, so I'm going to crank it up again. I'm going to do a half turn this time because I can feel that we're getting pretty close to where I think we're going to end up. I can also feel some of these lugs are looser than the others, like that one. And I'm going to just sort of remember that. We're going to go around in just a second and compare the tone at each one of these lugs and see that one's loose too. See if any of them are significantly higher or lower in pitch than the rest of them. And this is predictably a lot harder to tell on a mesh drum head. So I'm doing this a little bit by feel. There are a bunch of tools out there you can use. That will help you do this a little better, like a drum dial and things like that, that are meant to measure the actual tension of the head by each lug as you go around the drum. But I'm going to say what we almost always say. This is good enough for rock and roll. Definitely good enough for the purposes of this video. So we're going to turn the snares on. I don't think that overall this is in tune, so this is going to be a real strange sounding opening attempt, and I'm sure I'll have to tweak it from here. Not getting a lot of snare response, which I guess could be expected. I'm going to tighten this up some more. I forgot this big deep drum kind of needs to be cranked up. And at this point, I'm going kind of quick just so we can get a sense of what this sounds like, and I'm going to circle back around later and spend some real loving attention trying to get this thing tuned up how I want it to sound. Okay, so I think I need to crank up the snare side head a little bit, but the batter head feels good. Yeah, all right. So I think I'm going to get some more snare responsiveness once I crank up the bottom head a little bit, and it all still sounds a little deep in tone, so I'll probably crank everything up to get the pitch a little higher. But that's a good start for the Remo silent stroke drum head. I'm pretty excited about how this is all going to turn out. Okay, that's going to do it for today's unboxing video from the Dirty Bandana drum project, the Remo silent stroke snare drum head. If you'd like to follow along and make sure you don't miss any episodes, go ahead and like and subscribe below. You can also catch me over on Twitter and Instagram at Dirty Bandana, on Reddit at Dirty Bandana Drums, and you can get all the details for everything about this crazy project and my early morning everyday practice schedule at dirtybandana.com. That's it for now. We'll see y'all next time.